She said we were on.
That's on. Now you're on.
Son of a bitch. All right, Monday, Tuesday, March 5th. Get this right. I'd like to open the Selectmen's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first up, public input. We have Mr. Brian Duchesne, Wolfboro Selectman here to speak to us.
So, I've been approached by two different residents from Tuftonboro, and they came to me and they said, why can't we use the beaches in Wolfboro? And I said, because there was a town warrant article that said that the beaches are now private for Wolfboro residents. Not Brewster Beach. Brewster Beach can be used by all. Not the Wentworth State Park. I tell them that's a state park. So there's only two. So after having them talk to me, I said, listen, I have an idea. I'm gonna go to the select board for Tuftonboro, and I'm going to, as a citizen, I'm going to approach them and ask them for their input. Could we have an exchange? Because I've also told these citizens that Wolfboro residents can't use the Tuftonboro beaches either, because the municipal lot over at Pier 19 is for Wolfboro resident parking only. So it's the same thing as Wolfboro having our own parking for residents only. So Tuftonboro has theirs for Pier 19, we have ours for Cary and for Albee Beach.
I'll disagree with that, but I'll let you finish.
Okay. So I was thinking that we could have a beach pass. We know that our kids both share the same school district. We know that Tuftonboro residents pay to Parks and Rec a dues. So I was thinking we could have a beach sticker that would exchange Pier 19's parking lot parking for Albee Beach parking lot parking. Charge whatever we want. The money from it goes to maintain those two beaches, and that way Tuftonboro residents could come use Albee Beach, and Wolfboro residents could come use Pier 19 Beach, if the parking lot has availability. So what am I wrong, because you probably know more than me, what am I wrong about your beach?
The parking lot at Pier 19 has nothing to do with Tuftonboro's town beach.
So where do they park?
At the town beach.
So just
On
along the edges
19
of the
Mile
road?
Bay. No, there's a parking lot at waterfront, so to speak.
Yeah.
And if you go to the end of Bay Road or Bay Drive, what they call it, right across the road, there's a giant parking lot where people can leave boat trailers, and beach goers could use that parking lot as well. But the lot at Pier 19 has nothing to do with the town of Tuftonboro.
Okay, so what is that lot?
That's boat trailer parking. The big one on the right hand, on the
right hand side,
on
yeah.
the north side, I
Yeah.
guess, east side.
Yeah, because it says, there's signs that say Tuftonboro resident parking only.
Yeah, that's for trailers. pretty
Only
much.
for trailers?
Well, I don't think it's for.
It
just
doesn't
boat
say that on
trailers.
the signs. And cars are parked there all summer.
But anyways, there is public parking right at the beach.
And
probably
that's
maybe-
available for everybody.
Everybody, there's no limitations. It's probably 30, 40 cars at
Yeah,
best.
I would say that none of the residents actually use that parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
and
probably
then the
people-
overflow.
Why do none of the residents use that parking lot?
Because it's generally used by people that own property on the islands who aren't residents. They're just,
Actually,
you
if
know-
I may again,
Sure, go ahead.
the Island Association owns the property that the store sits on.
The Island Association owns the property that
Okay,
the
we're-
store sits on.
Two different parking lots, I think.
And then there's a divider that you might see when you pull in.
Mhm.
The back section of that is nothing but island people parking.
Correct. You know, I know this because I own a house on Cow Island.
Well, there you
And
go.
I owned a slip at Pier 19 for 20 years until
Sure.
I sold it. So the building and half the parking lot is actually owned by the store owner.
Yeah.
And then half the
Well,
parking lot, and if you park in his spots, he will have you towed. And then the other half of the parking lot is owned by the residents of the marina, which is a condo association, and those are their condo slips.
Yes,
So you can't park in either of those locations if you wanna use
the beach.
the beach.
Right.
So where's the other,
So point is,
where's the other lot?
Just
There's-
before you
there's-
get to PAC 2000 on the same side of the street.
By PAC 2000?
yeah, across the street from the beach.
Okay,
That's what we typically use for boat trailer parking. But the point of your conversation is that there is public parking right at the beach.
how many spots?
Oh, you could probably fit
They're not delineated?
30, 40 cars in there maybe,
Yeah.
at best. And then after that, people start lining the road, and then they start lining 109. So there are no restrictions to any residents for parking at the town beach.
To any people. I don't think we've ever enacted a residency
No,
requirement.
no.
No.
So, are you all set with your,
Yeah, so then the problem is that how do I sell this to the people of Wolfboro?
okay, well, first of all, when this first happened, we asked a lot of questions. We found out that it was a petition warrant article by the residents that,
Correct.
so the selectmen had nothing to do with that.
Correct.
I get that, that's fine. So, well, I wrote the letter, but the selectmen sent a letter to the Wolfboro selectmen over a year ago, asking that you take into consideration writing your own amendment to the warrant article and ask that Tuftonboro residents be allowed to use Wolfboro beaches, because
Yeah.
Tuftonboro and Wolfboro have had this symbiotic relationship. I've used that term 100 times, I'll use
Yep.
it 100 more, for generations.
Mhm.
And to have the Wolfboro beaches shut off to Tuftonboro residents is kind of a slap in the face to Tuftonboro residents. Selectmen didn't do it. It was
Correct.
But, however, we asked you to do a warrant article to make an amendment, or your own warrant article to allow Tuftonboro residents to use it. However, we had to do it, sticker exchange, something like that. And we got no response. I think that letter was ignored. I don't know if you have a file similar to that for correspondence at every selectmen's meeting. That letter would have ended up in your correspondence folder, and we never got crickets.
I will follow up.
We got crickets.
I will follow up on that. I'm gonna also go check the parking and actually get a number that I can hang my hat on. So the municipal lot up is only for trailer parking supposedly.
No.
No, anyone can park there that wants to use
If
the
you
beach.
wanna,
So that's for everybody, but you have to be a Tuftonboro resident.
no.
Okay, so if I'm driving down from Wolfboro and I go past Pack
That way.
2000,
Yep.
and there's a lot on the right.
Yep.
That lot says sticker parking only. It says.
I'm not sure what the sign says, so I'm not
Can we
gonna.
have our chief say something
Doesn't,
here?
doesn't it say
I can
Tuftonboro
get into
residents
this.
only?
So there is a sign there saying that overnight parking requires a permit.
Yep.
We have had some past conversations in the past about whether you have to be a resident of Tuftonboro to get a permit.
Yep.
Anybody can park in that parking lot, but you need a permit if you're gonna be overnight in it.
Okay, so it's a daytime parking
So
lot
it's
for anybody.
daytime for anybody. Bass fishermen can drop their trailer and boat and vehicle there. They could be from Timbuktu. There's no issue whatsoever.
Okay, so the sticker
Oh, no,
parking
they
is
can't
only
be
for
from-
overnight.
Overnight only.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not allowing
Alright.
Touaregs. Just saying.
So, I'm not speaking for my brothers here, but I am absolutely in favor of something like this. If the Wolfboro Selectmen want to re-engage and come to some kind of an agreement that benefits both of us, I'm for it.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. I suggested it by asking you to write a warrant article.
Yeah.
Mm.
Maybe,
Two town meetings ago.
I can talk to the other select board members and see if maybe we can open up one of the two beaches. Now that I've had two residents from Tuftonboro come personally to me, see if we can open up Albee. Cary Beach would be tough, but see if we could open up Albee Beach
That's the second time he's done
to
that.
a resident sticker from Tuftonboro.
Okay. A little off topic, it's Albee.
Albee, yes.
Thank you.
Unless you want to drive to Alton.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe the approach has to be, I mean, we've had arguments and discussions about the money we pay for Parks and Rec.
Yep.
Include the beach access in the Park and Rec, and then we'll stop arguing about the money. That's the easiest way to do it from my standpoint.
Yep.
I mean, we're not gonna require stickers. We have a hard enough time getting stickers for the transfer station, let alone, now we're gonna have stickers for the beach, I think. Cause there are other beaches in town. I mean, there's the one off of, Lang Pond Road, and there's
Right, for Barrow Lake.
Melvin Wharf,
There's a very small one at the end of 20 Mile Bay.
Yep.
yeah.
We have one in Melbourne. So we do have other beaches. But, it's been a bone of contention, that's all.
Yeah,
But we're not shutting ours down to Wolfboro residents.
No, we haven't.
no,
They're welcome to come here. Always have been.
Well-
I'm more disturbed that we didn't get any response from that letter.
and Parks and Rec has got a more symbiotic relationship with them anyway, because they
Right.
got the boating program, and we got moorings down there at the beach for sailing programs,
Right.
and then they were talking about a swim team at some point in time.
Well, we had one at one point, and we were talking about combining them because there was a little interest and there was no interest one year and then,
Right,
but anyway,
Yeah, our swim team has kind of disappeared too.
Right.
A lot of things kind of disappeared at COVID, and a lot of them haven't come back,
Mhm.
like lifeguards. Can't
We've
find
been
enough
fortunate.
lifeguards.
we've been real fortunate.
Yeah, we can't find enough lifeguards. We can't find enough people to run the Parks and Rec department.
Yeah, we have one lifeguard for now.
For how many beaches?
One.
One beach.
yeah, you're better off than none. And
Yes,
post it.
you open yourself up to liability by having one.
You do.
Yeah.
Swim at your own risk usually.
Well, I shouldn't say lifeguard. She's a swim instructor.
Swim instructor.
Yeah.
So I will be going, on Wednesday night, I'll be speaking under other business to my, 4 select board members and saying, I've been approached twice.
Yeah.
And can we think of a way to at least open one more beach to the Tufton Borough residents? We do have, like I said, Brewster is open to everyone, and we have the benefit of the state park, which is open to everybody. But it would be nice, I think Albee Beach,
Albee.
Beach,
Thank you.
has the, probably the bigger parking lot and is more conducive to opening that beach up to the, to residents of Tufton Borough.
I'm gonna also speak on behalf of Mountain View Nursing Home.
Okay.
Mountain View Nursing Home always took their residents to Albee Beach because it's shallow, there's shade, there's easy wheelchair access. They were eliminated from this too.
Okay.
So they no longer have a place to swim in the summertime. Please make that part of your conversation.
Can they use the Pier 19 beach?
Well, if they can get to it, like I said, the wheelchair accessibility is huge.
Yeah.
Albee Beach has shade and it has shallow water, shallow slopes going into the beach.
That's something that we could do separately too, because we did install a handicap ramp at Cary Beach. So that's something that could be a separate agreement too.
Yeah.
Because we did that intentionally so that people can get into the water easily there.
Well, I would appreciate it if you would take Mountain View into consideration as well.
And you can remind them that we'll.
You guys could install one over at Pier 19 too, the ramps, they're not that difficult to
Yeah,
install.
we're having a hard enough time with the ramps that we have, which I'm gonna bring up in selectmen's notes. But you might remind your fellow selectmen that you're already supporting Mountain View through your county taxes.
Correct.
So it's not as if it's some separate entity.
And some of the residents at Mountain View are from Wolfboro, are
I'm
Wolfboro
sure they
residents.
Yeah.
Do you have any numbers on the residents that used to use Albee Beach?
They maybe would take 10 or 15 at a time. It's not
And
a
how often?
couple times during the summer,
Okay.
once, twice, maybe 3 times,
Okay.
10 or 15 residents at a whack. It's not a huge number.
So even if I can't get my select board to agree, we could probably easily put a program together for Cary Beach.
Albee Beach would be preferable
Yeah.
because of the shade.
Yeah.
Shade's very important for those residents.
How do they get like wheelchairs and things in at, if they need to use them at that beach, at Albee Beach?
Muscles.
Just lift them.
Muscles. The girls, they run the wheelchairs into the water.
Yeah, we ended up with, like I said, a ramp and a special wheelchair, just for the purpose of a couple residents in town.
Yep.
All right, I will take it back to our board, and I'll find out why there was no response to your letter.
If you need a copy of it, I'm happy
you
to
forward it to
forward
me?
another. Yeah, absolutely. Do we have your email address around somewhere?
Is it the link on the website?
Yeah,
I can send that out in the morning.
yeah. I have my personal email and my town email and my cell phone number is on the town website.
Perfect, I'll find it and I'll get it to you.
Okay.
Thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you.
Appreciate you coming in.
Have a
Thanks
good
for
one.
coming in.
All right, moving right along, because we're now quite behind schedule. We have a draft minutes from Tuesday, January 23rd.
I have read the minutes and I have no corrections.
Is that a motion?
Sure.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have the non-public from January 23rd.
Again, I've read them and I have no corrections. I'll move, we accept those minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then it says, we have another non-public from January 23rd, which seems all right to me, and I'd make a motion to accept that as written.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next up, we have Sergeant Hathcock with the police update.
Okay.
Are we, I know you're not staying with us, but are we gonna start to call him Chief Halfback?
I did when he walked in the door.
Okay.
I will amend my statement. We have Chief Hathcock.
Maybe you can get rid of the stripes sometime.
At some point, I guess.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna shut this door because the cemetery trustee should be meeting shortly.
Hey, we arrested somebody.
All right, here we go.
So what we have is, we have our update for February. As you can see, it's January, February of 23 as well as 24. Pretty much things are pretty much about the same. Within one or two of each other in all these areas. Calls for service are down, but one of the things I wanted to bring your attention to was in 2023 in January and February we had 4 officers employed here. So when you turn around and take that 713 and you divide it by 4, you get roughly 189 calls per officer. When you look at 566 for this year where we had 3 officers, and you divide by 3, we're looking at about 189 calls. So it increases with the amount of calls with the reduced officers that we have here. And of course, some of that would be officer initiated calls if they find something they need to log, that type of thing. I think that would be cause for the number to be down as well.
So it's not that we're not answering the phone after 189?
That's correct. Okay. That's correct. We are answering the phone and being diligent on that issue. The felonies, 2 and 2 for last year and this year, those are computer-based crimes, just as an FYI for you. They're nothing violent. So I wanted to let you know a little bit about that.
And the arrest, was that involved with a felony or?
No, the arrest was totally separate. That was a DWI this year.
Okay.
Let's see. Since February 20th, Officer Lefebvre and I have conducted 4 directed patrols in different areas of town with concerns of speeding vehicles. Roughly, those directed patrols are give or take about 30 minutes each, just to kind of see, get a gauge for the speeds in the area and that kind of thing. We take action if necessary. Officer Lefebvre's working on an extortion type case that has included a couple search warrants, so he's been busy at that, as well as we've had a fraud case that he's working on. I've picked up a couple investigations from Chief Shigori that he started, and now since he's not here, I'm picking up where he left off, and I'll be running with those. A note of interest is the fact that the PD's been getting a lot of calls with citizens receiving fraud calls to defraud them. And I just want to take the opportunity to let them know that if for some reason something just doesn't feel right, then they shouldn't give out any information and then follow up with the appropriate channel. An example would be is that Bob did his banking at Citizens Bank, and there's a call that comes into Bob that doesn't really sound quite right, and he does do his banking there, then he shouldn't give any information. Then he can call his bank and kind of touch base with that and just make sure everything's on the up and up. So I would like to put that out there and have people recognize that, you know, some of those calls and some of those callers are pretty savvy in how they're getting the personal information from people. Let's see, Officer LaFave and Administrative Assistant French have been working really hard to clean out a lot of the stuff at the PD when Chief Shigori's departure took place. I can't thank Roberta enough. She has been tirelessly working. As a matter of fact, she filled 40 boxes for the shredder company, and we are still working. So that's going to be a work in progress, but we've been plugging away at that. Just accumulated over years and years, and that's where we're at. With that, the shredder company, we should be calling soon. I spoke to Jackie today. I think there might be some boxes for the town hall side downstairs, so we'll be I'll work with the town hall crew to see what we can get together for when we call the company. We can do a one-shot deal and get everything taken care of. Let's see, Chief Shigori and I have been working together to transition some of the administrative duties that he had to me. I feel I have a good handle on it, so we'll be plugging away at that as we move forward. Cruisers, 2023 Tahoe has been returned fully equipped. I have transitioned into it. You will see it on the road effective this past Saturday. I'm not really sure what happened. I have a call into the outfitter. Chief Shigori did not want the old cruiser video system that came out of the Explorer to be put into the new car because it wasn't working quite right. They installed it in the new car and it's not working right, hardly at all. It doesn't even power up. So I'm gonna call them to see if I can remedy that situation and either get it pulled out or something along that line, so that we can get that corrected. 2022 Tahoe, which is the other black one, has been assigned to Officer LaFave. We have, I believe the chief had said something before, we have the windshield wash not working on that car. So we have an appointment with a dealer on this coming Thursday to get that diagnosed and get that corrected, and then he will transition into that car. Radar is back from the radar company, and that was been corrected and fixed and installed back in the 2022 Tahoe. So we have 4 cruisers with 4 certified working radars at this point.
Are you gonna stagger the inspections on those radar units so that way you're not left with 4 that expire at the same time?
It is possible to consider. What we usually have is we have Nevo out of Newington that will turn around and they come remotely right to the PD and they just bang, 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 bang. And that's been really great. We probably could stagger them. It just means that we would just have a bill for them to respond, and sometimes they don't if it really isn't advantageous for them to come for.
I'm only asking because last year, if I remember, you had 4 radar units that were inoperative because they had expired. You couldn't use them, and you couldn't find, something happened with scheduling. I'm not sure what the circumstances were, but we didn't have radar for a little while.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it doesn't mean that they don't work. Doesn't mean that we can't utilize them and issue warnings. What the problem is that if we issue a summons, we need to present to the judge and the court that we have an operating certified radar and a certified radar operator, which isn't an issue for us operator wise. But yeah, I'll make a note of that. To see a lot of times some of the companies like the one out of Newington, they'll try to get Wolfboro on board with us type of thing, and they just hit the Lakes region and it's pow, pow, pow from one place to the other for the whole day.
I get it. I'm just trying to avoid having a situation like what happened last year happen again.
Yeah, got it. Alright. Ford Explorer is sitting out there. It is back, it is stripped, it is ready to go to auction. So however, I wasn't 100% privy with all that process. I think it might have gone on to, was it Facebook? Craigslist or something like that. So I guess we can talk about that, whatever I need to do on my end, let me know.
I sell the cars for the county.
Okay.
So I'm happy to share my advertisement with you, and you can modify it to fit Tufton Borough.
Perfect, okay.
And then just put it on Craigslist.
Okay.
just make sure I have your email address,
If I may.
of course.
I was,
Mr. Chairman?
I shared a conversation with Chief Shiguri, who feels that we could make a lot more money through the state bid process than putting it on Craigslist, for example. I promised him that I would at least bring that up. I truly have no experience with it, so I don't know.
I don't either.
He also said that there's some old radios and things in the basement that could be auctioned off at one of these state auctions, and
Do
people
they do
buy
that
them.
at the White Farm, or is it, how do they do
Yeah.
it?
I think it's something like that, yeah.
It isn't like they advertise
No,
like Craigslist.
but it gets done. That was his concern at the time, that's all.
And that's up to you, how you wanna do that. Do you wanna do it on Craigslist, or do you wanna
We can do both,
try to seek that out? I don't know.
because I don't think they
Okay.
make you leave the thing down there that long.
I do not believe, in talking with Chief Shigori, I do not believe that it's something that if we go to the state with, that we get whacked a fee. It's my understanding that when somebody wins a certain item or they buy a certain item, they pay whatever that administrative fee is that the state has.
Right, it's not
If
us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
that's what he told me.
if I remember correctly.
Did you take the plates off of it?
It is still there. If we have to move it out of the parking lot, it's still legal.
Okay.
When it comes time or ready to go somewhere, we'll pull the plates when we are doing our thing for the transition, yeah.
If for some reason it turns out that the town needs to transport it, I'll be available.
Okay.
We won't have to take another officer or whatever it might be, I can make that time.
Does it have the siren and blue lights?
No, that's gone.
Thank God they're
already.
not here anymore.
Well, what fun is transport?
Hey, I'll help out.
All right, thank you. Last but not least, conditional offer candidate. We have 3 steps left: psychological evaluation, the medical evaluation, and the polygraph exam. The candidate and the doctor doing the psychological eval are in touch with each other to do that, hopefully in the near future. And then it's the other two things. The polygraph I need to be at, because I've done his background. I kind of knows the things that somebody probably should ask that individual, and so I will be there to witness that. And then it's just a medical evaluation. After that, I would like to bring him in and sit down with you folks to see what you think and negotiate everything we need to. So I think we're close. We're really close. It's all based on what his schedule is, already having a job now that he's engulfed in. So I'm going to try to kind of push those 3 steps along, mutually as well, to see if we can get this done sooner than later.
That'd be
Great.
great.
And that's all I have, gentlemen.
All right.
You have anything for me?
You've answered all of my questions.
Yeah, I'm good.
You'll be back.
You're looking like you're thinking over
Yeah,
there.
that's not, I'm old, I'm always thinking.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time, and
All right.
Thank you, Chief.
appreciate it. And anything you need, you know where to find me.
Excellent.
And with only 2, I guess I'm sorry, how do you stand up? With only 2 of you on board, how do you plan on handling election day? Because somebody's got to be there.
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Yeah.
Officer LaFave is going to be working day shift.
Okay.
That evening, the sheriff's office will be working, and I will be running the full gamut at the voting. Town meeting the next night, I'll be working day shift. I will be back in to be present for the town meeting. And then I'll be back in the following day for shift. So
Okay.
we will have it covered. Both of those we will have covered with Tufton Borough officers for you.
Okay.
Great.
Perfect. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good
All
evening.
right, have a good night.
All right, next on our agenda is State Representative Glenn Cordelli. Is Glenn out there? He's Glenn Cordelli,
I think he's old too.
accepting
see-
the award for Glenn
I
Cordelli.
see
State
Representative McDonald.
John McDonald.
I would say that he's probably tied up in Concord still.
No, that's all right.
John?
Thanks for having me, guys.
John.
Always good to see you, pal. Oh, look,
Oh,
we now have 3 state representatives. Representative Pettinell and Representative Cordelli have showed up. This is getting to be quite the party.
I think you guys wrote them, sorry.
We just,
Pulled in?
yes,
We were,
I was down there earlier.
yeah, well, thank you for,
Good evening.
Well, I think we should say thank you, because I know the subject matter quite
Oh.
well.
yeah.
Sorry. Let me be able to read.
We'll have some interesting information for you.
Good.
Not that you're gonna like it.
I was gonna say good is in the eye of the beholder. So, for the record, I'm Katie Hutternell, representative of Wolfboro and Tuftonboro. We're here as members of the Education Committee to discuss the court decisions regarding education funding. Recently, there was the Rand court decision and the Conval court decision. And the Conval decision is related to adequacy funding, the rate at which we determine is the cost, the state determines is the cost of an adequate education. Part of a complicated formula, but the base rate was $4,100 per student. That's what we increased it to last year. Last year, by the way, we increased funding for education by $160 million across the state. And then with these two new rulings, the Conval decision, Judge Ruoff from Rockingham Superior Court determined that the cost of an adequate education is $7,356.01.
It's a big jump.
Hmm?
Big jump.
Well,
But,
right.
yeah,
The Conval lawsuit that was filed, they wanted the increase to $10,000 per student.
Mhm.
But, you know, the one penny that Katie mentioned is very interesting because no one has ever been sure of, you know, really what the cost of an adequate education is, and people will argue that you can't determine it because there's no marketplace to determine, you know, what it is. But
It's all
Go ahead.
subjective.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was one decision. We had a bill 2 weeks ago that we voted on. Well, first we voted on in committee. There's been an education funding subcommittee on several pieces of legislation circling around the State House. And then we voted on House Bill 1583, which was related to education funding, and we increased the base adequacy to $4,400 per student. And then, so I'm going to give you the two pieces of it, and then what happened today, or what we think might be happening today. Then with the Rand decision, Judge Ruoff determined that the quote-unquote donor towns that we used to have, who no longer have to send the excess statewide education property tax to the state, need to now be sending that money to the state so that other districts who can't raise the adequacy can use the money from our property taxes to support their funding. And last week he
just mentioned that amount for Tuftonboro is
right, for
$1.3
Right.
million is the excess swept.
yeah. And for Wolfboro, it's 1.5 million, and that's important since we're in a
Right.
cooperative school district. So then Judge Ruoff determined that we need to begin collecting that money within the next 60 days. So that, I was very concerned, Representative Cordelli, Representative Bell, we're all very concerned about our district and wondering, A, where we find $2.8 million between our two towns, and what this will do to our future property taxes.
And he wants it collected now because we should have been saving up all along, because we knew this was going to happen. And it's going to be held at the state in an escrow account, sitting there collecting interest for the state until the Supreme Court determines, you know, what the final outcome is, which, you know, who knows when that'll be.
Well,
So that was the good news.
Right. And yeah, and part of that is a lot of debate, you know, exactly when is immediate, you know, is it within the 60 days, is it within 30 days? It's unclear. Plus, there was a debate about whether that could be done legally, because there's no legislation saying that the Department of Revenue Administration could issue a warrant asking you to send that money to the state.
Well, how is this different from the money we're already sending to the state?
Well, the statewide education property tax is collected locally, but kept locally. You send it to the school district. So you send it to the Governor Wentworth School District to be used here, as do all the swept towns. The money is kept here. Prior to 2008, I think, it was sent to the state, all the
Right.
swept. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not technically for Tuftonborough's benefit. It's for the school district's benefit.
Correct.
Because we have towns that are incapable of paying for their adequacy. So it's just a local transaction. Does that local
Correct.
transaction go away?
Well, we'll get to that in a second. It might.
Right, so according to the DRA, the,
Yep. And let me,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, let me give you, we brought two handouts. This is the judge's ruling of February 20th that Katie was talking about. And this is, the second document is the testimony of the Commissioner of the Department of Revenue Administration on why this is such,
Is that Lindsay's step?
yeah.
Okay.
especially John.
Oh, is that my name on it? Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was throwing me off.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
That's the next one.
If I could point out two things here. The judge's ruling is very interesting. I'll try to find the page, but he says, you should have been aware that this is, gonna happen all along. And to justify that, he references Aesop's fable of the ant and the grasshopper. That's in his ruling.
So, just because you're aware doesn't mean you have to.
Well, you can't. There's no mechanism for a town to save money for possible future school taxes.
Right.
We don't have that ability. You don't allow us to have that. So what are we gonna do? And you don't have the ability at the state for us to do that either. So if Tuftonborough were to cut you a check every year for $1 million and say, put it in a savings account.
Right.
They'd hopefully send it back. Maybe they'd just put it in the highway trust fund.
Yep.
So having knowledge that something bad is gonna happen, but you don't have anything you can do
Or
about
that
it.
it might happen.
Yeah, and you don't have anything to do, well, and it has, when Kentucky was, that was 21, but when was Claremont?
Back-
97.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a couple of years.
And this has really been going on for decades about adequate
Right.
funding.
Right, because you can't, in all honesty, think. You got 1,000 students at Governor Wentworth Regional High School. That $45,000 are gonna cover it. Or $4.5 million is gonna cover it, whatever. It's just the numbers, and when you say there's no marketplace, there's absolutely a marketplace. I mean, I think Katie knows what it costs to educate her kids. I know what it costs to educate my kids and my grandkids. And none of those individuals went to the public schools. So that's a marketplace as well
Right.
that can be
But-
compared
right.
to. Isn't, I think you need a little stronger argument for where your adequacy number is coming from, really.
And the way that adequacy number has been calculated is to take a look at a number of factors. And this goes back to a previous formula back in the 2000s. Starting with what's the cost of a teacher, what's the cost of, a number of items, that would be required to provide an adequate education. So, as Katie was referring to, what we did in a proposed amendment that our committee came up with, we updated all those figures. So we updated, what is the pay for a teacher, et cetera, to bring that up from the 4,100, which was last year, to the 4,400 that we're proposing this year, plus a whole range of additional, what we call fiscal disparity aid for the quote property poorer towns that was included in what we passed out of our committee, totaling something like $90 million on top of the $160 million last year. So that's where we were with our committee, and actually, I think it'll be, and it got passed out of the House and is now in finance, that bill. So Katie's up
Oh,
next.
I'm speaking to the amendment
Yeah, sure,
bill,
yeah, if you want.
which we just got at 3 o'clock, so.
That's why we're cutting it close on being here at 5 o'clock.
You did well.
So, according to this amendment to.
I don't have copies of this for everybody.
Okay.
We just got it.
Oh, just give one to Audrey, and she'll make sure that we get it.
I have one spare one here. So this is an amendment to House Bill 1583, which passed the House and is now in finance. And this amendment will increase the cost of an adequate education to that $7,356.01 per
We
student.
can't forget that one pen.
So they're not waiting for a Supreme Court decision.
Not according to this.
We'll see what happens
Yeah.
with this.
Yes,
So-
I would say this is still in a state of flux, but we're here and should present you with the most accurate.
Right.
Well, I would say so,
information
but
that
I imagine that this is gonna be appealed.
Yes, the information we also got, there is a group of towns called the Coalition. I'm not sure Tuftonboro or Wolfboro have representatives going to that, but they had a meeting today, this afternoon, and I confirmed with my source over there that the state is appealing and asking for a stay from the Supreme Court of the requirement to send the excess swept to the state immediately.
Right, because there's no mechanism for that yet.
And you've got a budget that's gonna be voted on in
Next
another
week.
week. Yeah, right, yes,
Right,
yeah.
so this
Well,
is
the
wrong
school-
on many levels.
The school taxes, whatever they are, don't affect our local budget and what we pass. That comes in the tax rate. The
Right.
school
Right.
budget
Well,
may be affected.
for clarification for the public, in our computations for the 2023 tax rate, although I don't know why it says that, it should be 2024. We're gonna give $5,273,000 in change to local education, which I believe would be the school district. And then it says state education.
Right.
We're gonna give them $2,420,000 in change. And then they expect another $1.2 million on top of that?
No,
No.
but that includes the statewide education property tax plus what you collect, or we collect, over and above what is required.
Okay.
So, which is the 1.3
Thank you.
million. So that, I believe the 1.3 million is included in that figure.
So nothing changes.
Okay, pardon?
So nothing changes?
Nothing changes except, oh, thank you very
Except
much.
they actually the court decision wants the money to actually be collected. So that money is supposed to stay with the school district.
Mhm.
It's supposed to be spent locally for educational purposes. So that means the school district would have to figure out of their budget where they come up with
The one,
1.3
the 2.8 between the two
So
towns.
Well, they're not gonna lose all of it.
Well,
I mean, you've got Ossipee, you've got Effingham, you've got all
Right,
these
but
towns
they-
that don't have the property value
Well,
to support.
but we'd
it.
essentially be
But
stripping $1.3
this
million.
is just the excess.
This is the
They-
excess.
Right, just Wolfboro and Tuftonboro in our school district have excess.
Yeah,
as
well, we pay
defined
that
by-
money to the school.
Yeah, you
district.
gave that money to
We'll
the,
have to get it back.
and
No.
send it to
And
the
send
state.
it to the state.
That's
It's
according,
just-
that's what the judge wants.
It's just a different stop. Okay, we send it to the school, we're the only two towns that have excess property values. The rest of the towns in the Governor Wentworth Regional School District benefit from that excess.
Yes.
Now that excess is gonna go to Concord, they're still gonna have to benefit, they'll probably benefit them more, because each of the students that they send, each of the students that OSPI sends is now gonna have a $7,500 adequacy.
No,
Grant.
no,
No.
the state actually sends money to those towns to make up
In addition to the money we give.
the money that we give isn't necessarily making up the difference for the other 4 towns.
Okay. yeah,
So,
I'm
The
fine with
state
that.
actually sends money
So what's the
to
difference?
those towns.
Okay, what's the difference between the amount of money we send and the amount of money that they need?
If I understand it correctly, the money we send benefits our school district directly. If we take it back and send it to the state, it's gonna get scattered,
Right,
They still
Yes.
have to benefit the same town.
right?
No,
no,
no.
Of
No,
course they do.
No,
'Cause
that's-
no.
Okay, I'm old enough, probably not quite as old as you, Glenn, but I'm older than you are, to remember when we used to send money to the state that got distributed out around.
Yes,
Okay, and it changed, but it went into a different formula, so it all stayed within the district. I don't think there was $100,000 difference between what we sent to the state and what we kept and sent to the school district. So I wanna know what the difference is gonna be between what this school area that we're currently
I-
crediting
right. The,
gets.
I think the intent was, the fact that this excess swept, which statewide is about $29 million, would contribute, to helping pay for, the increase that the judge wants to the 735601, which, just that increase from the 4100 to the 735601 is about $535 million for the state, that the state would have to come up with. And they're banking on 29 million of that coming from,
The excess swept.
yes,
and,
So it's gonna get pulled and scattered.
Where's the
yes,
other,
right.
yes,
where's the other 400 million
Redistribution.
coming from?
Beg pardon?
Where's the other 400 million coming from?
Good question.
Well,
yeah,
it's obviously gonna come from property taxes, cause you haven't figured out how you can ever fund anything without property taxes. And we have a couple
Well-
$1 billion worth of property.
At the hearing, we had one of the lawyers who's involved with these lawsuits. I asked him, and he said, he's fine with an income tax or sales tax.
Can I ask a question? The money that we're gonna send to the state, we'll have to make that up on the district level though, won't we? Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna impact, if we have to send it right now, if they have to send it right now, it's gonna impact the current budget,
Okay,
for sure.
but can they come back to the town and say we need more money? Or do
Yes.
they have to live with what they have?
Yes, and I think some of the testimony from the Commissioner of DRA is about the need to then have the towns go to court to establish a special meeting to impose an additional tax to help make up that difference.
Okay.
So who sits on this coalition?
There's a,
What we used to,
yeah, there's
We were invited.
27, 29 towns at least.
yeah, we didn't think it was gonna happen, but,
I think Wolfboro pays like 13,000 a year to belong to it.
yeah,
I don't know, unless
Was
I knew
it
you
the-
guys belong to it, maybe you don't anymore.
we used to,
I don't know.
I don't remember,
So like Portsmouth, it's all the
it was
water
Yeah.
countries which-
generated.
Quote unquote donor towns, or what used to be called donor towns, yes.
Well, we're still donor
Um,
towns, but we're just donating
right.
locally.
Yes, right, exactly right, that's,
and that was the point I was making, is
Yes.
that the excess swept from Wolfboro and Tuftonboro actually helped the school district at large, because if the money is kept locally, according to their budget, it looks like all the money's put
So
in
you're
one pot and
including
then
all of
sent
the state education money as excess swept?
no,
out. No,
just,
Okay,
there are-
what portion
right,
of
there are
the
about,
$2 million that we send you, or send the school district, is excess?
Right.
Do you know that?
is 1.3 million.
1.3 million.
So half of it, more than half of it. Is that, I mean, did you just read 2
Yeah, I'm not
point
sure of the
something?
numbers, but yeah.
What we're-
According,
yeah.
right, according to the Department of Education spreadsheet that we looked at, which has all the towns and the SWEP and the adequacy grants, and the difference between what the state says you need to collect and you do collect, it shows 1.3 million for Tuftonboro, 1.5 for Wolfboro. There are towns, I think Portsmouth has the greatest excess.
So, if we pull this money, if we pull this money back, this $1.3 million,
Yep.
send it off to the state, just the Tuftonboro's portion is gonna leave the Governor Wentworth School District $1.3 million short.
Yep.
So they're gonna be asking for more money.
Yep.
How can that be done this year?
Can't.
I know it can. I
That's-
know the answer to the question already. That was rhetorical.
Not without some kind of additional legislation or, even just, as I mentioned before, just sending that money back to the DRA is a legislative question mark, because there is no legislation to enable that to happen. So it's been a huge mess since February 20th, when Representative Petronell and I found out about this. We've been trying to reach out to other people in other towns with limited success. I think everyone was just hoping the problem would go away. The quote-unquote coalition has not been as active as we had hoped. We talked to people about they should get all the state reps for all these coalition towns together and sit down in a room and let's talk about what's going on and what we can do.
And that's you
But
guys.
that didn't happen.
And that's you guys.
Yes.
And
Well,
one of my other concerns, and thank you, Selectman Pike, for bringing it up, was that when general public looks at their property taxes, they see municipal,
County.
school, state, and
County.
then county, and the state doesn't explain that that's another school tax. So when you add it up, so when we start trying, we're gonna have to maybe do a little more education that you actually do have 2 school taxes on your property tax bill.
Well, our town report does say state education.
Yeah,
But that's not what it says
On the bill.
on the bill.
Okay.
So unless people are proactive looking at your
Right.
town report,
I mean, and that was-
they don't, or the
Well,
budget, they
Well,
don't
and
know.
then, if I may,
sure.
provided that Wolfboro and Tuftonboro do pull this money out, the 2.8 million, that would reduce the proposed 60 million budget for the school district down to 57.2, which might mean they would have to make some cuts in places. For example, their strategic plan might have to be modified, which they put a lot of time and effort into, and things like that. Wouldn't that be the case, eh?
Yes, I would imagine.
What are the, what are the
Going-
repercussions for not sending the money in this year until a better mechanism is figured out?
Well, that goes to one of the points in this amendment that was issued at 3 o'clock today. Representative Petronell left our hearing to go down and get this information so we could bring it back. But effective this July, the statewide property tax that is split up amongst all the towns is $363 million that is collected. Effective July, it'll go up to $773 million that will be collected from the towns. In 2025, July 2025, any excess that you collect and over and above that will be sent to the state. And in addition, if you are late in sending that money to the state, they have some teeth in this. They can withhold any share of room and meals tax that you would get, and from the school district, they can withhold adequacy monies from the students. if you were late in sending that SWIFT back. And I think you have 75 days to do that. So this is
Wow.
huge.
Who is this representative? Is he a Dem Republican or?
No, he's a Republican.
He is, okay. Did you guys work with him on this at all, or?
He was on our
He's on the
subcommittee.
Okay.
Yeah, he's chair of Division 2, which deals with education
Okay.
in the finance department.
I was not on the subcommittee.
She was just a regular attendee,
Oh, okay.
an interested party.
And these penalties were put in the amendment by this,
Well,
They're good.
there have been a group of people meeting.
okay.
It just has his name on it since,
So it's, all that really has happened is that it's going back to what it used to be. I mean, the reason it's called a state education tax is because nobody had the balls to call it a local tax, and it remained a state tax even though it stayed local. And all we're going back to is a statewide property tax for education.
right.
And the problem that you guys have down in Concord is you don't like to share. So you don't want poor towns getting rich towns' money. That was always the problem in the 90s, it was always the problem in the early 2000s.
We've always had something in the formula called disparity aid to try and,
Right. Well, you haven't always had that, but it is.
not always, but, you know,
Right.
I don't go that far
Right.
back.
But that's,
Um,
yeah, and you should have moved here earlier, because that's, you know, if you look at Portsmouth and Newcastle, that was their whole deal. I don't wanna have to pay for those kids in Newport to get as good an education as the kids in Portsmouth
Right.
get.
Yeah.
And that means, that, so that's.
I was on
water under the
2018
bridge.
funding committee, which came up with a proposal, again, increase the fiscal disparity aid to the property poor towns. That really didn't get passed. Karen Umberger of Conway was the chair of that committee. There have been various committees all along, and in the last budget, that $160 million increase was worked on by a number of people. And the Senate put it into the budget, and you know, that's how it came to be. But that was a significant increase. But you know, I think the other part that sticks in my mind is 3 years ago, that statewide education property tax that collects $363 million statewide, we took $100 million out of surplus. So it's all the towns. You only have to collect $262 million, right? Thinking that, you know, there would be property tax relief because you didn't have to collect that money. How many towns had a cut? To my knowledge, none. Yeah.
Just spend it.
Right.
This would be more palatable if they just put us on notice for next year, but to ask us for this.
Well, we can't,
This
the other issue that you're running up against is, our taxes are set for June. You're not
Yeah.
gonna get another nickel. So that means 100% of whatever you're charging in 2024 is gonna hit the October bill or the November bill.
Right.
That's not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. Not, I mean, unless you wanna legislate a state tax for that money, how are you empowering us to collect it?
Well, if I
Yeah,
understand,
court
if I
decision
understand
doesn't
it
do
correctly,
it.
we can not pay the school district that money and send it to the state, but that leaves the school district high and dry. Do I understand that correctly?
Right. Well,
Well,
effective this July, the SWEP will go from 363 to 773, right? And DRA will work out the proportionment for each town based to collect that, and send you the warrant article to collect that as part of the bills that go out in is in December, I think.
there's no warrant after March 12th. The warrant has been done. So we need to have some sort of authority other than, I mean, I don't know how you, I suppose you think the bill that you've passed is gonna accomplish that.
Well,
I
this,
don't know.
this hasn't been passed yet, so, you know, this is just an amendment, it hasn't even been voted on by finance, yet, because it's, so it'll probably go to the full house for a vote in a couple of weeks. But I imagine it'll be passed by finance, either later this week or next week.
It might go through several more changes too.
Yes.
We never know what.
This is shared with every town though, right? This bill?
This
Go
amendment,
online.
It's 30, I'm
find
picking
it.
up the difference, it's gonna be shared with the entire state, all the towns in the state, if this passes?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and.
Yeah, in the form of a notice from DRA.
Yes, exactly right,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. But yeah, this, yeah,
And that-
it'll be
The
made
beauty of it
available.
is that you guys don't have to take any of the heat. You don't send out tax bills, ever.
Right.
Well.
So we send out tax bills.
Well, you're gonna be, you know,
We'll take
we're
a
gonna have,
different kind of heat.
yeah, we're gonna have to vote on this, so
Yeah.
we'll take heat, you know,
Then.
for our vote.
But you're
Whatever.
not asking anybody to write you a check.
No, right,
It seems no matter what you guys figure out as an adequate education, it's never enough. It's
I
gotta-
don't see
it's
how
gotta
this
be
can
more.
survive an appeal.
Mhm.
I don't see
Why
how this
not?
can,
Claremont
so,
did.
right.
because
so-
in the middle of the year, to put us on notice for next year,
Oh.
sure, but to put it,
Yeah,
to put
well,
this on the towns and the school district
For
in the
this
middle of
year,
the
the
year?
only thing you have to do, according to this, is the swept amount. So your share of swept is gonna go up based on collecting the 773 instead of the 363.
It
The,
makes it
the
sound
excess
easy.
swept and all hits next year, 2025.
Yeah, but you-
According to this, but not according to the.
But according to the judge's ruling, right,
Yeah,
so
but-
is this something that's gonna get, and the state has asked, or is in the process of asking the Supreme Court for a stay on collecting that excess swept right now. So, is this something that is intended to be, some document to make Judge Ruoff happy for the time being? Or is it something that the state is committed on getting passed? There's a lot of questions, in my mind, I think.
But you need to be aware of everything that's going on because it will
Right.
significantly
Because
impact the local.
I guarantee you, there was no one else, no other select board in the state that knows about this. That's because you've got good representatives.
Thank you for bringing this
Just a
forward.
basic question, for my tax bill, it says $600 to SWEP. Next year, if this goes through, it'll say basically roughly $1,200 to SWEP. Is that a fair assumption, or?
So on your tax bill now, it's,
It says 600,
right,
and next year if this passes, which we've got to raise almost twice the amount of money that we do now, would that double my SWEP
it
account?
could, yeah, I'm not sure, of the, how the formula in DRA works, because it's a pretty complicated
Okay.
formula.
But there's nothing we can do as far as the school district level, other than cut jobs, cut the budget to
If they
offset that.
collect the excess, then the school district probably will have to look at their costs
Okay.
and decide what they wanna do about that. But in terms of collecting this higher amount, yeah, that's gonna increase the state portion of our taxes.
Okay.
And that's exactly what it is, the state portion of our taxes. I mean, what we should plan on doing is just sending our money to the school district like we normally do. And you should be going down there looking for that excess swept, if you wanna call it that.
We're
Because
meeting with
we're
the,
really not in any position to be cutting checks to DRA,
we're meeting with the Wolfboro Selectmen tomorrow.
yeah. And it,
Well,
I don't, I mean, this is all, when did this ruling come down?
The ruling came down February 20th.
Yeah, so this,
Does the
I
SWEP
don't think we
money,
have to worry about anything until about 2027.
well,
Well-
does the SWEP money have to come from the town, or can it come from the school district, since we're already agreeing to pay it this year?
Well, I think the money, the warrant article goes to the town, I think, to collect the swept. because you put it on the tax bills,
Right,
and
there's
then
no-
you collect it and then send it to the
Right.
school district.
But after
There's
town
no
meeting-
mechanism in place for us to pay anyone other than Governor Wentworth Regional School District.
Yeah.
So until that happens, we don't do anything differently. And as far as the amount is concerned, I see that as a fungible quantity. I mean, you came up with so much money per student, but the number of students changes from day to day. So what's the real number? And call it a statewide property tax again. It's so much simpler that way. That way, we can say they did it. We didn't do it.
Yeah,
Well,
and, yeah.
'Cause you
Question is,
have-
who is the they?
Yeah.
There are gonna be some people pointing at us three as the they.
Yeah, you are the they, because you have all sorts of little projects that you've got, that you're working on that are special to you, that impact school costs, impact adequate education. And I'm not saying anything good or bad about any of those programs, but you have all those things you're working on as well. I mean, and those numbers are just as many millions of dollars as
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So you're making a decision not to impact those, but to just impact the property tax owner, so you have to take a little bit of the blame.
Well, we're used to taking a little bit of blame.
Okay.
There's another 397 people there, but, so we'll take our share, but there's other shares to go out there too.
There are none of them at this side of the table.
I think I think you guys, like my committee, there's Republicans and Democrats, and I've talked to them about, like I've got guys from Hampton and Portsmouth, even though they're Democrats, they're on board with us, to try to keep it the same, keep it level.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point, because when we voted on the statewide education property tax bill in committee, the committees are 10 and 10, 10 Republicans, 10 Democrats. And the education committee is very partisan. A lot of our bills come out 10 and 10.
Mhm.
But the statewide education property tax bill came out 10 and 10. And when the clerk called the roll, she was shocked, because it wasn't party lines for once. It was based on where the state representatives lived.
Who breaks the tie?
No.
What happens is it goes to the House floor, and the first motion is on to pass.
It comes out of committee, no recommendation, and then it depends on who has the most votes
Right.
on the floor that day.
Wow.
That's where the tiebreaker is.
Wow.
So it's a
Popular-
crapshoot every Thursday.
Popularity contest, kinda, sorta? I guess
wouldn't
that's
say
probably the wrong term, but.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the House is also very close. I can't remember what our numbers.
I think it might be 5 at this
There
point.
might be a 5-vote difference between Democrats and Republicans, and there's 3 independents who typically vote the other way.
Wow.
all right. Well, I'm gonna comment, editorialize, but during my term as selectman, we have bemoaned the fact that our representatives don't come and tell us what's going on. Well, tonight they came and told us what's going on.
And you're the
We
first.
don't like it, so I hope they never come back.
Because of my campaign to run for the school board, I was going to bring this up in my selectmen's update, but they stole my thunder.
Sorry.
That's all right, I wasn't gonna go into the detail that you did. But my selectmen's update's now very short. But I can't thank you guys enough for coming in.
Sure.
It's gonna come out of somebody's pocket, and that's how it works, but maybe. Hopefully it'll get amended, something reasonable will come of it, that's all we can do at this point. And again, we can't do anything. Just,
Right. Yeah.
there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, you're waiting for the next shoe to drop.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna vote on the 12th,
it's $1 a thousand,
yeah,
just so you know.
okay. We're gonna vote on the 12th for our ballot stuff and represent people, and then we're gonna go to town meeting, vote on our budget, and our tax rate will be set, and that'll be that.
And that's how they punish us for keeping a low tax rate.
Right.
Because if we have to pay $2 million, it's another $1 a thousand.
Yep.
On
Absolutely,
a $7 tax rate.
right.
I mean, it's pretty,
That's a nice tax rate.
our local tax rate's only $2.18.
Wow.
Well,
That's because we run a good fiscal show,
Yeah.
not like Concord, which does not run a good fiscal show. I mean, I could go on and on.
please don't.
Why are we in the liquor retailing business? That makes you no money. You could be in the real estate rental business and franchising. There's any number of ways. Why is there no water tax in New Hampshire? You have a gravel tax that I've paid, you have a timber tax that I've paid, and no water tax? Are you fucking kidding me? You know, millions of gallons of water are leaving the state tax-free. So there are any number of ways you can raise money down there and work things, but you don't. So I'm glad that you came by. So I could rant and rave.
Thank you.
Thank you guys,
Thanks.
we really appreciate it, and have a good time in Wolfboro tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Well,
I'm sure we will.
a couple of them have a good time in Wolfboro every night, right, John?
Sometimes.
It depends on what bar we're at. Oh, wait,
Thank you, folks.
Good night.
appreciate it. Next up, we have our road agent Jim Bean for his report. Sorry to keep you waiting, Jim, but
Well, that was a shocker when you told me it's $1 per 1,000 increase.
Yep.
It's a phenomenal.
It would be. I mean, if they want $2 million, that's how it works out. It's a little more than $1. And we are supposed to accept the slings and arrows of the taxpayers with $1 increase in their taxes, $1 per 1,000 increase. And those three don't have to worry about anything. That's what bothers me about it.
Keep one? Yeah, we have one.
The winter budget should be pretty low this year.
It's not as low as you would think, but we got a sand shed full at the moment, which hasn't been full in several years. So hopefully we don't go through that. Let's start with the beginning. So since January 1st, we've been called out to plow and or treat the roads 20 times so far this year. Most of the snow was in the higher elevations. Last week I talked with the road agents from Wolfboro and Ospey, and it was decided that March 4th would be the day that all the roads would be posted in the town for the weight restriction. And obviously we're hoping for a short mud season. I don't know if you guys need to vote on that or not. But
Well, we did last year.
Yeah,
We didn't get to this year.
It's March
Okay.
4th.
I make a motion that we do not post the roads.
I'll second for discussion. Explain.
Because I don't believe that you can get into Tuftonboro without going over a road that's already posted. Ospey, Moultonboro, Wolfboro, state roads, if they're all posting, you can't get into Tuftonboro.
But what about going up Tuftonboro Neck or down any of the side roads in Tuftonboro?
I'm talking about getting into town, I'm talking about other vehicles getting into town. And I take issue with restricting commerce and internal commerce within the town.
The state roads aren't posted except for the exception of 171, like 109, 109A are not posted, so those are the through roads.
And I'm mistaken, I thought that all three of them were posted.
No, so you can still drive 109, 109A.
You can get there.
Okay, so a motion was made and seconded for discussion. Is there any further discussion?
Well, my motion stands. I still don't believe that we should be posting roads. That's my opinion.
All right, then I would call for a vote. Those in favor of keeping the roads posted since they're already posted?
Ooh, that wasn't the motion.
That wasn't the motion.
Excuse me. Those in favor of not posting the roads, say aye.
Aye.
Those against? No.
No.
Okay.
All right, now we get back to it. Those
Back
in
to
favor,
business.
those in favor of leaving the roads remaining posted since we got a little ahead of schedule.
I'll second that motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against?
Nay.
Okay. Good, got that done. All right.
The sand shed is now full for the first time in several years. Hopefully it remains full for the rest of the season, then we'll be in good shape for next December. The plows and sanders have been removed from the truck so that we can focus on the dirt roads that are muddy. We've been filling the ruts in the potholes with 3/4 inch stone to help stiffen them up.
Nice.
They are muddy. I don't know if you've seen them, but some of them are pretty bad. We have several roads around town that are getting separation between the pavement layers, and they are creating potholes. A fair amount of perma patch has been used to fill these problem areas. Sodom Road is one of them. I don't know if you've noticed the far end of Sodom Road, we are getting separation from the base layer to
When
the top.
did we last do Sodom?
That would be probably 10 years ago. You know, in the near future, we are gonna have to put a top coat on it, but I think we can get away with a drag shim coat and a top coat, which would be fairly reasonable compared to what we've been spending, grinding the roads. I have recently met with Frank Carroll, formerly of FR Carroll Paving, who is now retired and does not have any affiliation with any company. He's helping me write up a bid proposal package to put out this spring for our paving projects. He's also helping me with a 5-year plan for the future projects. Frank has estimated that we need a minimum of $650,000 for the roads that we have proposed, not including the prep work that needs to be done before or prior to paving, which I'm estimating another $75,000 is needed for removing rocks, replacing culverts, widening shoulders, and redoing the drainage and tree removal.
So we're at 625 right now in the warrant articles.
It's 625.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do have this is basically what our bid package is sort of gonna look like. That could change a little bit if we choose not to do all the roads, but these are the roads we've actually discussed. Oh, and one of them too, and that might have been my bad. When we talked about Chandler Road, we had option 1 and option
Right.
2. And we said do option 1, which was just pave a base coat back. But if we're putting a top coat on the rest of Shirley Way, I think Chandler, we might as well just put the top coat on after we do that and be done with it, so that it added a little extra money that we talked about. So basically we'd have to, I think it
Well-
was another 25,000.
Hopefully when you're gonna get this out at some point in time, that they'll give you individual items here. So it may be that we don't do anything with Chandler Road, because we need to get Tufton Road, Neck Road done and
Correct.
Shirley Road done.
You know,
But it may be
Douglas-
that we do more, we reclaim and top coat, so.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I guess when we find out what we're working with for numbers, we'll have a better idea of what we can and can't do.
Yeah.
I thought I'd let you be aware at least, so that if we need to change anything, that we know what we're up against. He thinks it will be right around the 650 mark. I lost my sheet, here I was just reading from. It's over here, there it is.
Some of the trees.
Okay.
Yeah, some of the trees on Tuftonboro Neck that are less than 2 feet from the edge of the pavement need to be removed. You can see where they have been hit by the plow numerous times over the years, causing damage to the plow equipment and creating a dangerous situation for oncoming traffic. The plow trucks must swerve around the trees into the oncoming traffic. The roots from the trees go under the road and create problems for the pavement. I would like for us to look at them together and decide if they should be removed before starting the paving project. I don't know if that's something you guys can schedule in, that we could look at them together and
Sure.
make that decision sooner than later. When we put the paving bid out, the paving out for bid, I recommend that we do it by invitation only, so we don't get a bunch of driveway companies bidding on something that are not set up correctly to do. They need to be companies that have experience paving town roads and have the correct equipment to accomplish them in the quality we need. And we don't have 5
No, but I think that you may miss companies that are perfectly capable of doing the roads. We have the ability to review bids and qualify.
Yeah, we can sort that out when we're looking at the bids. I mean, I don't know that we need to pre-qualify for the bidding, because we don't get that many bids anyway.
True, I just thought we would pick,
And
we could decide on our own which companies we should put it out to bid.
And you can also put in the bid package that they must meet certain qualifications.
Yeah, I mean, in that bid proposal I showed you, there is a little bit of, the spec that they need to do.
Or just have them give you a list of projects that they've done,
Sure.
you know, and we can sort through that. Just,
Okay, so
we need
that
some
would be part of
references.
the bid proposal, they need to give a list of.
Oh, references.
References.
What have they done?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of similar,
Yeah.
Well, they're getting
Such
like that.
roads.
They either have it or they don't,
right,
so I wouldn't even, I
right.
just say,
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that.
yeah, listen, cause we've had Carol for a long time. All these guys are new to us. But then again, you might have somebody that was in the driveway paving business that won the mega bucks and decided to get into the real paving business. I don't know, what do I know?
Decided you wanted to work more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just trying to weed out some of the ones that we know that we're just wasting everybody's time, that's all.
Well, all we're gonna do is waste their time, so.
Yeah, and it's not always gonna come down to price, it's gonna come down to the best value for the town. Can they do the job for the best price?
Yep.
And if they can't do the job, we'll be able to figure that out, I would hope.
Well.
And we're looking for a
I'll be the first one to
relationship
find out
through-
that they
through
can't.
the
We
bid
shouldn't have
process.
to,
Through the bid process.
I mean, we shouldn't have to do it every year. It'd be nice to do it like every 3 years. It would be nice to have a relationship with a paving company like we have with Carol.
Correct, yep. No, I wish he was still doing it, but that's not the case. He's oddly sold the company and he's no longer affiliated with them.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't talk as highly about him as I thought he would.
In my experience, putting out roads for bids, I've sent it directly to 3 or 4 vendors that I know, and then also posted it, and there were basically no additional responses.
Oh, there wasn't?
No, so I don't think you will get the driveway people.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Hmm.
So we'll send it out to the ones that we're confident with and put it out as well.
And advertise it as well, yeah, absolutely. But I think you should make sure that you have qualifications
Yeah,
in your bid package
get some
with
references.
references.
If you want, I can review what you draft.
Okay, yeah, that would be great, because I think, it sounds like we need to add a little more to it, to what we have written up so far.
That's good. Anything else for Jim?
Did my sister catch up with you?
Yes, am I in trouble?
Okay. No, I just, she
Not
called,
yet, but
called me this morning down at the sheriff's.
Yes, I did
Okay.
see her, actually, she was here when I was here, so, yeah, I talked to her. I do need to look at it first, because it's hard for me
Yeah,
to
I
understand
don't-
exactly what she's talking about.
Do I know how to get a hold of Mr. Bean? And I said, yeah. Check the town shed, check his office,
She found me right
and she
here.
found you right here, so
Yep.
that's my only reason for being.
I do have a question about, the town meeting warrant article, as far as, this isn't a warrant article, but as far as, what I recommended for a budget, and what you guys recommended for a budget, and then what the budget committee recommended.
Should've gone to the budget hearing. The budget's gonna be voted on either the budget committee's budget or the selectmen's budget,
So
but
mine is not in there?
yours is in there,
it's part of it.
in the total, but you don't get to do line items at the town meeting. You do those at the budget hearing,
Yeah, I didn't even know when the budget hearing was.
yeah.
I don't think I was invited.
Everybody's, it's posted, it's public notice, it's
Yeah.
everybody gets to go, but nobody goes.
Oh.
I mean, we had 3 people there, I think, who weren't officially involved in the committee.
Might have been, but however, when they flat funded your budget and didn't increase it any, they highly recommended that the selectmen increase the contingency amount from $5,000 to $75,000. So if we had a weather event where you needed extra money, we could take it from that, because it'd actually be enough money there to do something with. On the other hand, if we didn't, it would just go back into the general fund.
Right.
That was their suggestion, and even that is a lot less money than the board had recommended. But that was their suggestion, and it's their budget,
I mean, you
unfortunately.
can get up at town meeting and change the bottom line of the whole budget.
Right,
Well, my only concern is that the things that have gone up in my budget, I have no control over. Everything goes up, and salt goes up, sand goes up, line striping goes up.
Well,
let me-
I, you know, just to maybe calm your fears a little bit, I've been here on a number of years where you've run over and we've still paid the bills. So it isn't as if it's not gonna get funded. But that makes for a good example for the budget committee. So, and I mentioned it at the budget meetings that we had, that if you wanna drive this budget right down to a, you know, zero-sum game, we'll come and see you next fall and show you just how that works. And their response was, there's never gonna be a rainstorm like we got last year.
And then we had one in December.
Never gonna be snowstorms again, you know, it's like all these weather events that happen are just once in 100 years, except for they happen every 2 or 3 years. So I think it's gonna be a good learning experience for all of them come November when we're talking about your budget. From your standpoint, I think you just have to depend on the selectmen to make sure you've got the funds you need.
Well,
Right.
I'll
Now-
obviously have to come to you and tell you where we're at. And
Right.
what
We
we
know.
do,
Well,
what we don't do.
we need you to be conservative.
We find out what you've done every week when we look
Yeah,
at
but I
it.
mean, at some point I'm gonna be like, well, this is what we budgeted for, and this is the actual cost for what it's gonna be.
Right,
Do we do it or we don't do it?
right, and then that's our decision to make, whether or not you do it or you don't do it.
There will be more conversations this year, no doubt.
Yeah.
Your recommendation, if I recall right, was how much more? 20,000?
No,
Oh, it's more than
42, okay, so your recommendation, and we actually asked for more from the budget committee.
Yeah.
Right.
However, if the $75,000 contingency does pass, all right, even though that money is not in your budget, that's about $30,000 more than what you had asked for. So if you need it, it could be used. I'm not saying it's gonna be, but you didn't ask for much. I didn't think.
No,
Really,
it's
I'm
pretty
trying to,
conservative.
I know in the past that we can only move up a little at a time. You
Yeah.
can't do a big jump.
So I'm hoping that the contingency will pass, and that will help ease your fears.
So I read in the paper, I don't know, Monday, that Carroll is included in the disaster relief, Carroll County.
Oh,
Have we applied for that?
so I heard that in the news,
Okay,
but I have not got a response back from anybody yet that we were told. Actually, the fire department is the first one notified,
right.
because they're the disaster relief people, whatever, that handle that
Yes,
stuff.
emergency management.
Well, just put a bug in Adam's ear. I will too when I see him.
Okay,
There were 3 counties. It was Grafton, Carroll, and I think Coas.
and that was for the December storm, I think it was.
Yeah, the November to
When,
December.
they
whatever.
said there wouldn't be any more storms this year, the budget committee.
Oh, that was last year. No, they were fine with last year's storms.
Hmm.
There's not gonna be any in 2024.
Then it's not gonna
So
be.
thankfully, that one showed up right on the edge.
It showed up 2 weeks right after they said there wasn't.
You know, you do have the last opportunity to defend your ask, and that's a town meeting.
As you probably know, I'm not a very good public
But
speaker.
that, as I explained to him, he doesn't get to change that line. All he can do at the town meeting is change the whole budget. If he wants to add $100,000 for highways, he can say, I want to add $100,000 for highway, and Max Ledoux and everybody else can say, we need to increase it by $100,000. But that's not how it works. We decide how that $100,000 is going to get spent.
Okay, so it doesn't go to the highway department.
No, you can't line item the budget at town
You
meeting.
could, as Chip
Okay.
said, you could go in and say, I'd like to increase the budget, well, I'm gonna say by $100,000, with the intent
Right.
that it would be available for the highway department. You could say that. But you can't say, it's got to go here.
They were gonna
It's
change.
too late for that.
That Audrey's gonna change her accounting
Right.
to reflect the $100,000 more money. It isn't gonna happen.
No.
So,
Okay, well,
But you could.
I have a better understanding now.
yeah.
Or you
But
could
that's
send a
why people
representative.
should go to the budget hearing. It's in February, 1st of February, it's every year. The budget is presented in total. And he didn't do every line item, and he thought
No.
he should have, but
And I would, I'm sorry, Dan.
he
Sorry,
did
you weren't
each department and major changes. So to that extent, it was.
But he had the budget out there with all the line items on it, and anyone could have asked
Right.
about a line item that wanted to be
Right.
there. And again, we hit, actually, it's a better budget hearing than the year before. We might have had 3 or 4 people from the public actually showed up, even though they were in town committees and everything.
Oh, yeah. That's why, and I digress, and I should have hit them, the representatives with it. We should be teaching kids civics from grade 1.
Absolutely.
Because that budget hearing is so much more important than town meeting, or as important.
At least as important. Yeah.
Because that's where everybody wants to talk about what are we spending money on. And the warrant articles are just big things, not the operation.
Right.
So, and this year, next budget season's not gonna be any easier than this year's budget season. So I would encourage you to take notes, be prepared, have information ready at the get-go.
Yeah, keep a log as the year goes on, because sometimes memories get a little fuzzy, and it's nice to remember specific dates, specific amounts of work, specific dollar amounts if you can.
Yeah, I'm starting to do that now, like I
Yeah.
did, it was December 23rd, we had the last storm.
Computers are a wonderful thing. You should think about getting one.
I have a phone.
All right, do we have anything else to bend Jim's ear with, or Jim for us at the moment?
I'm good.
All right, I'd take you home and have supper.
Oh,
Wait.
I'm sorry.
I almost got out.
Assuming that the or the Cana Valley Road project warrant article passes, it's $800,000 worth of work. Is that something that you're gonna be interested in getting involved in, or is it just gonna get contracted out?
I don't think it's something I'd be interested in helping
Well, you
work
have,
with, but I don't think it's something I'm going to actually bid on myself. I don't
you
think that
have
would
to
be
do
right.
that as the road agent.
Okay,
So, but
Yeah.
as far as the physical work itself is concerned, that would just get bid out.
yeah, that's what I'm planning to do, is bid that out. I don't think that's something we're interested in.
Okay, good.
Great,
Thank you.
go quick before Chip comes up.
No, wait a minute, I remember something else.
Gonna move right into the signature file. Here we have a letter of thanks to Camp Sentinel. On behalf of the town and police department, we're grateful for you and your staff at Camp Sentinel for your generosity, hosting Chief Andy Shiguri's retirement party in a beautiful facility within the town, made the event special. People like you truly make a difference in the world, sincerely, and it's one signature of me.
I'll make a motion, we have the chair sign it, although it would have been nice to have all of us sign it.
Second.
Was that for discussion?
Sure. Second for discussion.
Is there any reason we all can't sign it?
I don't think there is. I think that you should be signed where it says for you to sign, but I don't think there's any reason why we can't add our signatures to the
Or they can
to the
just
bottom.
print it again and we can come in and sign it.
It'll be with the checks for you to sign on Friday.
There we go.
All right, then we'll,
The motion's been seconded.
yeah. All those against, just me signing it, say aye.
Aye.
Audrey, please fix that for us. Next week,
I would like to make a motion that we sign a letter that has, a similar letter that has all of our signatures
On Friday,
on Friday
with the checks.
with the checks.
I'll second that.
no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have an abatement,
What?
uh,
Taxes
With-
aren't low enough?
with tons of documentation, et cetera, brought to us by our assessing department.
I believe they both went through BTLA.
Excuse me?
They did, went to
Yeah.
Bureau of Tax
Tax
and
and
Land
Land.
Authority.
Yep. So,
And
And it comes with a recommendation from.
it comes a both of them actually come with a recommendation from our assessors. So I have 2 of them. One is for tax map 46-307 at 192 Mountain Road, and the other is at tax map 46-3-11 at 180 Mountain Road.
and how disparate were the numbers? The original tax amount versus what they wanted.
All right. The assessment to be abated for the 46-311 tax map has been abated by $56,000.
Okay,
And for the 46-307 tax map, that has been abated at $74,700.
Can I see this?
You may, and knowing the lots, This is to do with the motocross track.
They're both on Mountain Road.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to deny both applications.
Um,
You can't, it's a state, it's
Well,
under
no,
BTLA.
you can, it's just, we can disagree with BTLA, then the next step is Superior Court.
Right.
So it's not like we don't have anything.
Yeah,
So we can't
So
deny.
this, you can, but you haven't really moved the ball. Cause all you've done is you've taken a decision by the Bureau of Tax and Land Authority that they say you should give them an abatement. And we've denied it, and so that they have to go to Superior Court, which at that point, Superior Court will probably say, not only do we uphold BTLA, but we feel that you ought to pay the attorney's fees for
The plaintiffs.
the plaintiff,
So why do they even give us the opportunity to?
because we're the taxing
We have to
authority,
deny.
we have to do what we have to do.
Right.
We denied it originally, I think, is
Yes, we did. We thought that the abatements that they had in place
Right.
already was enough.
Right.
Well, the one, because of the junkyard. That was never rescinded when the junkyard was cleaned up, and that's why we denied it originally. Because it had
That's
been
right. Yeah,
ongoing
yeah, that's
right along,
That's
and we
right.
thought that was abatement enough. But apparently, the Bureau of Tax, Land Tax, et cetera, thinks it's not enough.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay, I'll move that we, or did you make that motion?
I'm all set to, you go ahead and move.
I'll move that we sign both abatements.
I'll second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Grudgingly. Go ahead and sign, it's fine. I don't care whether it's top, bottom, or
You
otherwise.
can't,
I didn't get to vote nay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
it doesn't matter. if you-
Opposed? Yeah,
Nay.
yeah,
You
sorry.
still have to sign, buddy.
Yeah. And I don't care if it's where you sign it, I don't have to be on top.
Is that it for signatures, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, it is.
excuse me, you also have a folder of the personnel changes.
Yes, I'm aware.
Thank you.
Next, we have the, what amounts to the documentation for our cost of living increases and step increases, et cetera, for our employees, which will take effect retroactively after town meeting.
Right.
It requires all 3 signatures. We've approved all of this stuff obviously ahead of time. So I'd make a motion that we sign this.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This will allow Audrey to get that into the system at the earliest possible date.
There's probably about 20 sheets there, there's one for each employee file.
Yes, we're aware. Okay, in our action items, we have the posting of the roads, which we discussed. And we have an email and for a lighting proposal for Union Wharf.
What, do we have to sign every one of these?
Yeah.
Oh, Christ.
Okay.
Sorry about that, I didn't hear you.
Can I
Uh,
sign,
start signing.
can I sign Friday?
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, can I do it Thursday afternoon when I come in?
Or Thursday
Great.
afternoon, I mean.
I'm gonna do it before I leave.
All right, that's fine. Anyway, we have an email from Mike Duffy, who is, from Horizons, and he wants to know, Mark Roberts is mobilized to the site at Union Wharf,
Saw that.
Yeah, it's all
starting the
right.
sheeting installation, expecting the next shipment of sheeting to arrive next week. Have we considered the proposal for lighting yet? The proposal for the lighting yet?
We haven't gotten a proposal.
And
for
I
that.
have not seen a proposal.
It should be attached to that email.
Uh-huh. And we do have a proposal. Lighting was not in the original quote.
Right,
Jack thinks that every 20 feet would be fine, etc.
okay.
We need to read through this, find out the extra cost.
I believe it was around $11,000. I had not talked to Jack, Cammy must have, so
Would you think that would be $10,527.55?
Right, but if you have it, instead of the lighting being every 8 feet, if you have it extended to 16 or 20 feet, then it should reduce that cost. So
But-
I would reduce
but-
it. Go ahead.
That's our administrator talking. I would rather have lower light. I mean, I haven't seen the design. Are we talking about a number? But I'm not,
Nothing here about the design for any added lighting.
yeah.
Okay, low light.
Maybe we should have a lighting guy come in.
Yeah, we need something a little more concrete.
Okay,
It's nice
If
and
you would,
dark
please.
down there at night. and
Maybe
see the
Rick Weeks would
stars.
give us some advice. He's a lighting guy.
I don't know about outdoor, I don't know, he might, it's a possibility.
I thought you might want a fairly quick turnaround.
Or an electrician.
So I
We
don't
do.
know what bucket of money this is gonna come from, so I don't know if we wanna modify any warrant articles.
We can't,
We don't,
Put
no.
it on the floor,
I suppose.
Bucket of money for what?
put
Audrey?
11 grand for lighting.
There's more than 11 grand left in that money that we have.
Okay,
If,
good,
if the bid comes in at the number he said it was coming in at,
awesome.
I think we're all
Okay,
set.
so quickly going into correspondence, we have a notice from the Board of Adjustment that they're having an appeal, case number 57. And it's been granted. There's one that they notified us of before from the McDonald Family Trust. We have the library report, and we have the red list for bridges.
Hey, are we on it?
Allow me to say unequivocally no.
No.
We have a water infrastructure funding workshop agenda and session registration from the DES. I'm presuming that our Conservation Commission has been notified of this because they're the ones that really take the lead on that. But there are many different little aspects to this. You can register for individual little lectures and talks if anyone's interested. And that's correspondence. Now we're into Selectmen's updates and Town Administrator updates. Town Administrator.
The budget is in MuniSmart, and you all should have a budget to actual for the first 2 months of the year.
Yep.
I've been working on 91A from Mr. Ledoux regarding Central Park.
And is that budget to actual on the 24 budget proposal or on the 23 budget?
It's on the
Number.
2024 Budget Committee's proposal.
Okay, there you go, Bob.
The auditors will be here March 19th, so I am gathering information for them. And I've started creating a forecast that will hopefully the board will like, that has revenue and expenses through the year. And I want to remind you that I'm on vacation the last week of March, so after town meeting, right into audit, then vacation.
The audit is when? I'm sorry?
The 19th,
So you're after that or before that?
after.
Okay.
And I received the student list for the Governor Wentworth Regional School District. I'll have the town clerk and tax collector review it. And there's a New Hampshire Finance and FGOA Government Accounting Conference in May. It goes over, it's $200, it goes over capital asset accounting, which isn't my forte. New Hampshire retirement system, health, and budgeting. So I'm interested in going to that conference.
Is that a 1 day or more?
It's a 2-day.
2 day?
It's a Thursday, Friday.
Do you need a vote from us?
She has it on her budget.
Okay, good.
Professional development. Nice.
And I'm working closely with the interim chief right now.
Very good. Good. Much appreciated. That's it.
That's it.
The representative stole my update.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I hope it was appreciated that I didn't mention the fact that Wolfboro drops their poop in Tuftonboro, so maybe they should give us something for that. I'm gonna bring it up again. I'll probably bring it up for a vote after you leave office, however, but I want you to be aware of it.
Mhm.
Take a look at the fence and the ramp at 19 Mile Bay.
I'm aware of the condition of it.
And my feeling is we need to close that. There's no constitutional right to ice fish by vehicle. They can walk. I mean, nobody wants to take responsibility for it. It's the second time we've had to spend serious money to repair it.
Right.
I'm saying, fine, you want to ice fish, walk.
I'd asked you to get a hold of Jim Rhines.
I haven't heard back yet, I'll follow up again, but I did email.
Okay.
Right. We're a year overdue on the first damages that we
Right,
wanted.
and now the green fencing's all busted up.
Right.
And they've driven over posts and
I've seen it.
even where they put the rock for the memorial down there.
Right.
I mean, it's just unconscionable from my point of view. I mean, if you do something, take responsibility for doing it. I can't remember the last time we charged some citizen for having run over a stop sign or damaged something.
Is there any other access onto 19 Mile Bay?
I don't care. They can go next door to Screwball there and have him let them go in there. I mean, you can drive across the lake. They could go in at Libby Museum, I guess, unless there's a bubbler there. I just don't know why we have to continually have to deal with that problem. And I'm not happy about it.
I'm not in.
So
No need of it.
I hope they all sit and watch us on YouTube and they understand where it's coming from.
I think the code enforcement officer has ideas of how to block that area instead of replacing fencing, putting boulders or something.
Yeah, there's any number of ways we can keep them out. But it's just a shame that it has to come to that.
Yes.
There was something else that happened, I forgot what it was. That I had talked to Audrey about. But
Maybe when Bob gets done, he'll remember.
I'm working on it.
Or after we adjourn.
I'll send you an email.
The only thing I have is I received a note, as you were aware, Gary Qua, chairman of our Tufton Borough Planning Board, is resigning, and I just have a formal notification here. It says, "Dear Bob, as you are the Selectmen's representative to the Tufton Borough Planning Board, I noted to you verbally prior in December and again this month in February that I plan to resign from the Tufton Borough Planning Board in April 2024, specifically April 18th. I will work with Susan Burnside to complete any outstanding items that may require my attention. Gary."
So when does the planning board meet again?
Thursday.
So they need to start working on a new chairman.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That's it. Here.
Have you
No, I haven't got it.
Motion to adjourn?
There,
second?
that's good.
All in favor?
Aye.
That'll turn my brain off.
Sorry to keep you so long, Bob.
That's all right. It's all right.
Where were you
I'll
going?
be a little late.
Get that out of the way.
Deal with the support staff.